Good day everyone, and welcome back to DX Explorer for another video. Today's video is part 2 of the one that I posted yesterday, and I was talking about creating a schematic using Eagle. In today's video we're going to take that schematic and transform it in a nice PCB design that we can later on use to order PCB boards, and we end up with something like this, a nice PCB board that we can use for our projects. Talking about ordering PCB boards, the today's sponsor of the video are my friends at PCBway. They offer great PCB prototyping services, CNC, 3D printing, SMD stencils, and a lot more. Right now you should have a look because they have some great deals and discounts for the winter holidays. And don't forget, they also have a nice shop where you can order different modules or components, depends on what you're interested into. And I already have a couple of them in my favorite lists, and I cannot wait for my next order so I can put some of those into my basket. Anyway, let's get back on the computer and we continue where we left yesterday, and we're going to take the schematic and transform it in a PCB design. Okay, so let's continue from where we left yesterday. We finished the schematic, we checked the schematic for errors, and right now we are going to build a PCB board. Well, a PCB board design actually. So in order to do that, we're going to go over here, click, and it says that there's no PCB board design. So if we want to create one from the schematic, we're going to click yes, and here we are. We have all the components in here connected between them with all the wiring that we did into the schematic. And right now what I want to do is to, since I'm using on a single layer board, I'm going to click on the button board, and I will go back to the grid. And if you watched yesterday's video where I was saying that it was a mistake for me to to use the grid that I was using, but that's my personal preference. In here it makes no difference, so you can actually use anything you like. 0.01, so this works for me. And right now what I have to do is to start moving the components into the PCB board. So first I'm going to move the transistor. By the way, you should move the parts from this little plus sign of each component. Zooming in and zooming out, of course, you do it with the mouse wheel. I keep clicking the wrong thing. I want to rotate the component. So just like, oh, not yet, like this. So just like in the components that we do in the schematic, the controls are the same. You click rotate, you rotate the component. At first, actually, I think it is only valid for the first component. I realized that after that you can rotate the rest of the component. So I'm gonna click again on the move tool. Now I'm going to move the crystal. I selected the component by doing a short click with the left click of the mouse. Now I'm going to right click and rotate it one more time, and in here. Then I'm going to take the capacitor, I'm going to rotate this one again with a right click, place it here, and basically I'm going to do this to all the components, bring them on the board, and trying to build the schematic this way. Now the idea is to have a clue of how you want things to be organized depending on the schematic, so you know exactly where you should place the components. Usually what I like doing, I'm making a rough sketch on a piece of paper long before I even draw the schematic in the software, and this way I already know where I want the components to be placed, and how everything it might look like at the end. So right now I'm going to zoom out, and what I will do, I will start organizing the components on the board until they look very nice and all the connections are free. It's gonna take me a while, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. I'm going to skip that part, and I'll get back right when I finished organizing everything. Alright, so now that I finished organizing all the components the way I want it, what I have to do is I'm going to have to start creating the traces between each component. There's an automatic function. Probably I will do at some point another tutorial a little more advanced, where I'm going to talk about automatic traces. You can do that as well, but that works much better when you're using 2 layers, PCB boards with 2 layers, top and bottom, or even multi-layers. But in my case, just because I'm using a single layer, I want to be careful the way I run the traces between each component, so I make sure that I have a ground connection to all the components going to ground. So for that reason, I'm going to do all the traces manually. So to do that, I have to go here to root air wire, and what I'm doing, I'm going to pick the thickness that I want, and I think that's it. So right now I make sure that I'm working on the bottom layer over here, and I'm going to start placing the traces between all the components. Thank God we are working on a simple circuit, so it doesn't it doesn't take us much to route all the wires. Okay, let's see what else we have. This is ground. We're not going to connect the ground. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later when we finish with this one. So basically you just left click and you take your finger off the mouse, you go into the next point, you click again, and that's it. So again, left click, you take your hand away, and left click again, and that's how you do the traces. So I'm going to do that really quick. So we finish with all of them. What else we have? This one over here, and this one, and I believe this one goes here, and this one goes here. If you do something wrong, it would let you know, so you cannot really mess up, because for example, if I'm trying to connect this one over here, you see it's not connecting, just because there's no yellow line to let me know that there's a connection in the schematic, so I must go over here. Let's see, did I finish everything? I think I did. So I have ground over here, ground over here, ground here, in here, these two, the antenna ground, the power ground, and the trimmer capacitor. So I should be okay. Right now I'm going to click on the move tool again, and I want to minimize this this board, so I'm going to left click and drag it all the way down. You have to keep pressed over here. Okay, and now I'm going to move this one as well, and while you're moving the whole thing, you can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. I should be okay this way, maybe even more, we'll see. One more. Okay, it looks okay right now. So what I want to do, I want to put 4 holes over here, I will go over here, click on hole. The hole that I want, it's 3 millimeters, so I'm going to move 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and I'm going to click hole. I'm going to do the same here, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, and I create a hole, and then I do the same thing over here, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, 1 2 3, another hole, and then one more over here. Oops, I put this one the wrong way. But we can move it after that. Okay, now we have the holes. Now what we need is the ground plane. So basically the ground connection between the rest of the components that are connected to ground. So for that I'm going to where do I have to go? I'm going to go here to this polygon tool. I'm going to pick a very thin 0.15. Here I have to click keep orphans, isolate. I'm always clicking the same size that I have my traces, and over here the same thing. And now I'm going to click here on the corner, zoom out, go back to the next corner, zoom out again, zoom in, go to this corner, and again and again, and I'm going to name this ground GND. Click OK, and I'm going to click on this icon, and voila, we have the ground connection, the ground plane. And now all the components that were connected to ground, now they are connected to the ground plane. Of course, I'm going to double check to make sure that there's a continuity between each ground connection to all the components. Sometimes if I have a schematic with a lot of components, especially because of the distance that I'm using between the traces and the ground connection, you see, like the way it is in here, I might miss a ground connection and one of the components might be in air, but that will be also, if we go into tools, I'm going to check for errors, and I don't have any errors, but sometimes it will tell me that there's an air wire or something like that, which means that one of the component is not connected to ground or things like that. But yeah, it will be very, very easy for you to figure out things in the future, because it's not so hard. So right now let's just put a text layer over here. So I'm going to go to text. Sorry, I need to pick a different layer. I'm going to click here, top names. I'm going to click on text, and I will say PT Tico CW transceiver. All right, and it's a little big, so I'm going to make it smaller. And again, the same thing that it was valid for the schematic. If you want to move this one, to rotate it, for example, you're going to left click on it and then right click, and you will move it anywhere you want. If you move it this way, it will move it in increments of 1 millimeter. It's what you set up here in the grid. And if you click the Alt key and you move it, it's going to move it in using this value over here. So let's move it. I'm clicking the Alt key and then the left click on the mouse, and I'm going to move it anywhere I want. Let's say I'm happy in here. Okay, so now that we checked and we know that there's no errors in the PCB board design that we just created, we want to export the Gerber files. So for that, we're going to go to edit, or no, file, and I'm going to say CAM processor. I'm going to click in here. I want to save my design, and what I have to do here, I need to go to profile, and after that I'm going to come over here to edit layers. I need to click dimensions, then click OK. I will say export as zip folder, and I will say process job, and it will, let's say I want to save it in my videos. So this is the schematic. I will call this PTTico. Yeah, probably PTTico. I will click save. Okay, now I close and I'm done. Discard. Then I can close the software and we can move on to see and check our PCB board design, how it looks like rendered. Alright, so now I'm going to go here. I will click, I will search for Gerber Viewer PCBway, and we have here online Gerber Viewer. So what I have to do now is to click over here, go to videos, PTTico, and now it will render the Gerber files. And I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, and this is how it looks like. If there's anything that you don't like, once you finish this one, you can go back, re-edit the PCB board. Maybe you can change the text or move the text anywhere you want, re-export the Gerber, and then come back here. You will delete this one, you will upload the new one, and you get to watch it. Here you have the bottom layer, which is the, you see, I have something here that's not supposed to be, so I'm going to have to change that. Click here and get an instant quote. Usually I just leave everything by default. I don't really change much. I pick the location, so I go and I find Romania somewhere on the bottom. Where is it? There we go. And I'm going to click DHL, but if you want and you have the patience, you can go with FedEx. Click apply, and it will tell you that the total cost of 5 PCB boards together with the postage, it's going to be $27. You save it to cart and you place your order. But that's it. It's very easy to design a PCB board. Of course, it's going to take you a lot longer if it's a complicated schematic with a lot of components. But if you're not into creating custom PCB boards with thicker traces and you know, the way I have my components with thicker pads, just so I can also allow the people to create boards using the toner transfer method at home. And you're just going to use regular components that you find in the libraries. It's a lot easier. It's going to take you a lot less time because you will take advantage of the auto routing function that the software has. And yeah, it's a lot easier when you build PCB boards that have 2 layers. So for example, on the bottom layer you get the connections or the ground, and on the top layer you get the connections between the components. So yeah, I hope it helps. Remember, it's just a basic tutorial just to help you start with the software. And when I will have some time, remember I'm also still learning, but there's a lot of other tricks and things that you can do using the Eagle, both in the schematic side and also in the PCB board design. So yeah, once I have a little time, I will continue and post videos like this in the future. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, 73, and have a great weekend.